The SEC championship game, Georgia and Texas squared off part 2. Georgia is able to win in overtime. Joe, I thought it was a great game. I know people, I thought the first half was a little sloppy, but it was an absolutely great game. Your thoughts on how it played out with Georgia and Texas and Georgia winning the SEC?
Well, first of all, Blake, we got to bring up our good friends, the Texas fans, who were all in our comments this week. Oh, how they were so happy that we picked against them and how they think that we hate them so. Well, you make it a little easy when you attack us so aggressively. And then when you lost the game, the fits, they were bad. Look, to move past that quickly, everything that we said, the biggest, most important part, Blake, about what we said was Quinn Ewers.
Oh, God.
His inability to not turn the football over against top opponents. I brought this up. Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Georgia during the regular season, multiple turnovers in those games. What does he do against Georgia in the matchup, the rematch here in the SEC championship game? Multiple turnovers, multiple sacks. They need to start Arch. Let's save that talking point for a second here. But the deficiencies for Texas show up, and they start and end with Quinn Ewers. And credit to Georgia's defense for stepping up to the occasion when Gunner Stockton had to play and him getting the job done and doing just enough to keep them above board and for them to win the football game. But that Georgia defense continues to play at a very elite level.
It always happens to Quinn that in crucial spots, turnovers happen. Now, a ball batting up in the air and Everett picking it off the way that he did, I'm going to be a little honest. That's kind of a freakish play.
That's
like
fair.
If the ball bats up in the air, okay. Here's the thing with Quinn. This time, I'm going to actually push back a little bit on you on this point. I'm going to push back in the sense of that you had 2 passes that were batted in the air and picked off, but early in the game, dude was on one, bro. Like, completely on one.
Yeah.
They were going man-to-man coverage. They were bringing the safeties down. We're going to stop the run. We're going to stop their little shifty stuff and things that they do in motion. They took away the screen game. And you know what Sark said? Beautifully. All right, you don't have anybody that can cover Matthew Golden. And we're going to run slants right in the middle of the field, and we're going to motion everybody around so that you got to realign. We're going to attack the middle of the field. The truth was, the first half felt like a domination to me. It really did, without any points. That's what I felt like was going on between Texas and Georgia. I tweeted this out during the game, and I tagged you in it, and I know that we got a lot of things going on here, Joe, during games. If they don't get touchdowns, it's over. Because Georgia's running game's about to get going. You cannot stay around and let Georgia play around with you and then think you're going to win the football game. But here's the thing, Joe. Outside the turnovers, Quinn was very bad in the second half. Very bad. He missed 7 passes in the first half. You want to know how many he missed in the second half? All of the rest of his incompletions. He went 27 of 46. The second half in overtime, brother, we was below 40%. He wasn't completing passes on third down. Hey, Matthew Golden had 6 catches in the first half. Why did you go away from him? Oh, and by the way, the big play in the second half that led you to that touchdown that you got, who caught the long pass down the sideline? It was Matthew Golden. More than Ewers. Joe, I think that they got out-coached in the second half, meaning Sark. I think Quinn did play bad, but here's the ultimate thing. We talk about it in the preseason, and because there's ebbs and flows during the regular season, we don't remember the reality of what we talked about in the beginning of the year. Here's that reality. Even though they dominated in the first half, one team ran for 141, the other ran for 31. They can't run the football. And I know that Quinn got sacked 6 times, but I'm going to bring that up last. If you don't have the ability on crucial downs, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, if you can't run the football, you will get beat. And that's the bottom line. And that's exactly what happened to Texas in the second half. Wisner had 19 carries, Joe, for 51 yards. 19 carries for 51 yards. That is 2 yards a carry. It was abysmal. Now, the sack yardage comes down because of Quinn being sacked 6 times. Let's get to that. I heard that it was a fluke that Texas's O-line got dominated the first go-around. Now, I know that Banks didn't play at left tackle, but, Joe, they had 6 sacks again. And we completely forgot how good Georgia was defensively. See, Georgia's problem had been all year. It was not on defense. Never really had been. Never had been their issue. Their issue defensively is they would get tired because their offense would keep throwing them back on the field over and over and over again, and they just got worn out. Maybe the depth, they did lack some depth in crucial situations. But the bottom line was they had to throw the ball 46 times. They had to drop back 56 times, mainly due to the fact that they couldn't run the football. Quinn had no help. So I agree with you on this. He turned the ball over, and those turnovers were crucial in Georgia coming back and taking over and ultimately winning the football game. But the bottom line, too, was Quinn didn't have a running game. He had multiple holding calls when he did complete things on third downs. Joe, they had 11 penalties, did Texas. 11. They were not ready for the moment. Everything that we had heard about Texas, hey, man, they got to a playoff last year. They've been recruiting really well, developing very well. They were not ready for the moment. And when everything was up against the wall, when their backs were up against the wall, that soft schedule that everybody wants to talk about, what team was the number one in strength of schedule throughout the year? The Georgia Bulldogs. They literally just went through an overtime game last week. Joe, we were here on Sunday talking about Georgia and Georgia Tech and like, hey, man, you know what? They found a way to win, and they didn't blink. And here's another thing. You said it earlier, and it was off camera, but I did tweet this, so I'm going to give you credit along with me. The heart that Gunner Stockton showed reminded us of the mailman, Stetson Bennett IV.
I thought I said that in the video earlier.
Maybe you did.
All right,
maybe you did. I thought you said it off camera. Anyway. Okay. All right. He would not be denied. So when the next Georgia player gets arrested, stay with me, and people talk about team culture, you know who I'm going to point out? Gunner Stockton. You know who I'm going to point out? That when Gunner Stockton ran over a dude, the entire defensive bench got up and the whole game changed. So when that kid came in and showed that he gave a shit, and we want to talk about team culture and chemistry and being ready for the moment, one team was ready. So I know I threw you for a loop on the arrested thing, but how many times during the offseason do we talk about culture and we watch a kid like Gunner Stockton go in there and say, hell no, I won't be denied, even though, by the way, did you think that was a targeting?
Yeah. I mean, you can't, his helmet went flying off. Like you can't, he didn't have, the problem is I think the biggest thing that's not highlighted enough with talking about targeting. If you don't have to hit and deliver a hit that high, it's going to lead to a targeting call. Like he didn't need to hit him that high. He didn't. He could have wrapped him up around his waist and he could have dropped him and the play would have been done and it would have been over.
I'm not going to say, because here's my thing with targeting. I have no idea what it is anymore. No idea. I really don't.
Explain.
Very hard to explain. Joe, I thought the turning point other than Gunner Stockton, we need to talk about this too. Well, by the way, Matthew Golden and Moore went off. I just want to give them some flowers there. I felt like the turning point to me in the game was the fake punt. And not only that, an offensive lineman got to a technical pass in the play because it was a pop pass.
Isn't that Bobo's son?
Is it really?
Wait. Well, his last name's Bobo. I'm kind of making a little bit of a guess there.
I don't know. But who else would Mike Bobo trust if he's going to be creative? I know it's not him.
Well, he's not. Yeah, it's not him calling the play.
But who else would you trust? I don't know if there is another kid I would trust. But I did feel like that was the outright turning point and moment in the game. And I felt like after that, I never felt like Texas was going to win. Even during overtime, and they went to overtime, I never felt like they were going to win the football game.
So a couple of things. One, I still give credit to Texas, though, for being a really good football team. They obviously belong in the playoff. That's never something that we haven't said.
Went toe-to-toe with Georgia. You got to give them that, man.
I think they're going to blow the doors off of Clemson. I think that they are, again, a really quality football team. It's just hard to expect them to beat a team like Georgia in any adverse situation. They're going to find a way to win. You brought up Gunner Stockton, and I think that assuming that Carson Beck's injury is the level of severity that we had with Brock Purdy, that's what it's been compared to with his elbow, with the UCL. It looked like he couldn't even close his hand really the way that he was favoring it. So if he's unable to go, I actually kind of think that Gunner Stockton adds a different element to this offense. He's a good athlete. He's a good runner. He's not the same level of passer and decision maker as Carson Beck, but it just felt like that threat of him running opened up the offense just a tiny bit more. I don't have enough of a sample size to know, though, if Gunner Stockton is strong enough of a decision maker that he's not going to have more turnovers than the one interception that he had in this game. And in the same vein that I brought up in my introduction, they need to turn to Arch. Texas needs to turn to Arch Manning. Look, I can't keep talking about Quinn Ewers making mistakes. Did he have a bunch of big plays and did he throw for over 350 yards? Yeah, he absolutely did. But did his one of his turnovers cost him the game? Did the 6 sacks that he saw where he couldn't escape the pocket, did that cost him the game? Yes, it comes into it heavily. At the very least, Arch Manning should be coming into the game more often and should be getting more touches. They need to implement him as a runner because right now it feels like Quinn Ewers is an anchor. And if they want to go on a run, I feel like Arch is their best opportunity to do so.
Here's the problem. I don't disagree with you. I think it's highly unfair to turn to him right now.
Why? Because you're throwing him into
a situation that I don't know if he's ready for. I really don't. The one thing about Quinn, man, he has seen a lot of football. And look, this just isn't the game for me, really, if I'm being real with you. It's just not the game for me to stand on that hill because you got 2 fluke interceptions. He's got to throw the ball 50-plus times, okay? Another thing in that, Joe, he has no run game. They can't run the ball with Arch either. Now, the only way that they could do it, I mean, Arch did come in. I mean, their best
for one play. They brought him in for like a couple.
No, they brought him in for 3 plays.
Okay, still, that's not enough.
3 plays. It's not. You're right. It's not. The longest run, the second longest run that they had on the day was, remember the 4th down where they went for it and the ball was snapped in between Arch's legs on a quarterback.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right. I'm not, you're not wrong, man. Like, you're really not. I don't think Quinn can lead you to where you need to be. He can't. I also don't think that the team is bought into him completely. I don't. I see the reaction when Arch Manning goes in the game and the spark that those guys have versus when Quinn is in there. I do. And I know that, I don't know, man. If you did, I just don't think it's fair to make him a starter or move to him in a playoff. It just feels wrong.
I don't think that they would do that and that they would make the change for what you're saying is very true. But in a vacuum, it just feels like that Arch Manning should be the starter. Like, it just does not feel to me that Quinn Ewers is giving you the best chance to win. And you are right. The inability to run the football is a problem, and that definitely completely hurt them in this game. Hopefully they can get healthier along their offensive line, and Kelvin Banks can come back for this playoff run.
Well, but it doesn't matter if Kelvin Banks is there or not. If you face a team like this, you're still getting dominated. And here's the thing. I told you early in the week. What did I start off our Texas take with? My Texas take was they've played 12 weeks. 12 games. I have no idea who they are. I have zero clue on who they are.
I still have no idea what they are, if I'm being honest.
Me either. Moving to Georgia. Joe, I love what I see from Gunner Stockton. People are overreacting, in my opinion. He needs to get better as a thrower. I'm not going to deny you that. He still went 12 of 16. His decision making. I'm going to be real with you. His decision making was pretty elite.
Minus the pick. Minus the
pick. It was 15 of the 16 throws that he had in the second half. He was making the right decision over and over again. The kid knows what he's saying. I mean, it happened. There's a reason he completely went 12 of 16. Mm-hmm. So, look, man, he adds a whole different element. He only ran for 8 yards. Boy, that was the longest 8 yards in the history of 8 yards. Because the quarterback draw, both of them really, where he picks up big chunks of yards. I mean, it's a big deal. Got the whole run game going.
Well, he finished with 26.
I thought he finished with 8.
No, he finished with 26. Okay. 6 carries for 26 yards. Well, that's what I'm here for. We're here to spot each other.
Okay.
We missed something. No, he had 26. But I still think just to kind of
never mind.
Just to close out the thoughts on him in this game, I wouldn't count out. This is not a Brock Glenn, Tate Rodemaker situation. I know Florida State fans want it to be, but it's not. I'm not counting out Georgia.
That's a whole horrible argument.
Yeah, I'm not behind that. I don't know how you can watch that and not think that Gunner Stockton still gives Georgia a legitimate chance, knowing that Carson Beck had multiple games this year with multiple interceptions of his own. I don't know how you can't look at this and think that Gunner Stockton gives them still a legitimate shot to win a national title.
Well, hold on. If any of those guys last year came in for Florida State and went 12 of 16 and it looked the way that he did running, we probably would be saying, who in the hell is this kid? But it's what we'd be saying. Brock Glenn came in and bro, Gunner Stockton had more completions in a half than Brock Glenn had in 3 games. I mean, like, calm down over here, right? I mean, like, calm down.
You're right.
Let's be real with one another. I mean, I'm sure he had more than 12, but it couldn't be a lot more than 12. So
I think you're right.
Last thing, Joe, the missed field goals is a big problem. That was a big problem for Texas. I feel like they play up and down the level of competition sometimes, man. Yeah. I really do. I really do. So something's off with them offensively. It might be Quinn. Who knows? All right. Let's get to the Big Ten title game here.
By the way, wait, quick. Brock Glenn, 8 of 21 for 55 yards. And then, really quickly.
12 of 16 for 71.
Well, but then Tate Rodemaker was 12 of 25 for 134 yards. So for any Florida State fans who want to hop in the comments, you do not have an argument.
Yeah, they were tagging us. They were tagging everybody. They got to get over that, man. They look so they got to get over it. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.